Welcome in to the newest episode of the Hoth Hangout podcast. Glad to have you here with us, joining us for episode 56 of the podcast. After our little hiatus, we're glad to be back. It's going to be a fun one today. Joey and I are doing our third incarnation of a draft here on the Hoth Hangout channel. We've done Jedi, we've done Sith. In today's episode, we are drafting our favorite droids. Each of us going to be picking 5. It's going to be a blast. We got some other fun news to talk about as well, including some gamer awards and Screen Actors Guild stuff. But before we get into all of that, Joey, what's going on, man? How are you?
I've it's been so long since we've done this, especially with all three of us. For those
Yes.
that don't know, it's been, I think we've said over a month where all three of us, that being me, Ben, and Gibbo, have been able to come together and put an episode together. So I'm excited for it. It's been a while, guys, but it's just like it's like we're all family again together.
Yeah. Gibbo was saying before we started recording that it was the Ahsoka finale, I think, where it was the last time that all three of us were together, which, gosh, I feel like that's coming up on like, what, 6 weeks ago, I want to say?
Something
Something
like
like,
that. It
yeah.
feels very long ago.
Yeah. But it's good to be back. Like you said, we're here. We're doing our first full episode in I think 3 weeks. We took a week off, and then we had the recent episode, kind of mini episode, not really full episode, where we did a box break. If you haven't checked that out, check it out on last week's mini episode on the Hoth Hangout channel. But in today's episode, we're mainly going to be doing the Droid Draft. It's going to be a blast. But before we get into all of that, I also failed to mention right off the top that if you're not already subscribed to the Hoth Hangout YouTube channel, definitely hit the like and subscribe button over there. We would appreciate it so very much. Thank you to the 342 of you who are currently subscribers. And you can check us out at email us by emailing us at Hangout, at gmail.com. You can reach us there with your questions or thoughts, both Star Wars and anything else otherwise. We'd love to feature those here on each episode of the podcast as well. Additionally, if you're an audio podcast listener, you can check out the Hoth Hangout podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are also on all the socials at Hoth Hangout, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or X. Check us out on each of the socials as well. Well, before we get into our droid draft, the first piece of news that we wanted to cover today revolves around the Gamer Award nominations. The recently critically acclaimed Star Wars Jedi Survivor game that we've actually played a couple episodes of here on the channel as some live streams. Check them out if you're interested in watching them. It was a great game to play. We need to actually finish that game sometime because
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know about.
we're it's been so long we haven't even touched the game.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a great game for what it's worth.
Hmm.
Both Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, I've really enjoyed, and I think just the Star Wars fandom in general has really come around to uh, Cal Kestis being like, almost a fan favorite,
Hmm.
as one of just the general consensus favorite characters in Star Wars nowadays. And so, in terms of the Gamer Awards, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was nominated for a couple different categories. First of all, the game itself was nominated for Best Action Adventure Game, which is pretty cool. I think it's deserving of that very much so. Hopefully, it wins. We'll have to give an update at some point in the future podcast episode as to whether it did win. And then additionally, Cameron Monaghan, did you by chance catch his thing? I think it was at was it was a convention or a reveal. They were revealing, like, a bunch of trailers, and they had a Jedi Survivor segment where he came out, was talking to the fans. Did you manage to catch that?
Was that when he pretty much let it out of the bag that
Yeah,
another game
yeah.
was coming? Yeah, I think we mentioned
Yeah.
that on the podcast a few episodes back, if I'm not
I think
mistaken.
that's right, yeah. I love him as kind of the representative for the game and more largely Star Wars. He's, like, fully invested.
Hmm.
Seems like a cool guy. But,
Yeah, and when he was at Celebration too, he really is
yes.
taking it in, and
Yes,
it's
yes.
it's cool when your actors, whether it's live action, animated, or in this case, voice actor for a video
Mhm.
game, and is really invested in the project and in Star Wars themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and actually, it's also cool to see. I would imagine, at least because I've actually obviously never had this experience myself, but to see your image be the
Mhm.
character that you're voicing the act like, that you're doing the voice for,
Yeah, yeah.
to see your likeness
All
within the game, it's pretty
all the
cool.
way down to the 5 o'clock shadow that he has there too. It's
Yeah,
pretty it's impressive.
yeah.
If you notice, that's my shadow for sure. That's exactly what mine looks like.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Same, same, same. Um, but yeah, and he was also nominated for Best Performance, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully I mean, I would love for the game to win Best Action and Adventure, but I think if
Mhm.
I had to choose between that winning or Cameron winning Best Performance, I really want that for Cameron.
Yeah,
Just
that'd be cool.
as cool as awesome as a representative as he's been for the Star Wars community, I'd love to see him be rewarded with the best performance for his role as Cal Kestis. And then another Star Wars game, which was nominated for most anticipated game, Star Wars Outlaws. The trailer for this dropped, gosh, I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago now at this point.
Mhm.
And so this was nominated for most anticipated game. We should also say that along with this, there was a recent report that has gone unconfirmed. This was roughly a week ago when this report came out, basically saying that this might be delayed until late 2024, and it was originally slated to come out in the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
I think I don't know when I saw the trailer for this, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this on a podcast episode. I wasn't super high on Star Wars Outlaws. I don't know why
Mm.
that was.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts on this, just as a general like excitement levels?
I think the open world concept is really cool,
Hmm.
just in general in games. I will admit I don't really get into them too often, but if you stamp the word Star Wars on pretty much any game, I'm gonna go into it. For an example, I downloaded the Path of the Jedi DLC for Minecraft, and
Nice.
we know that I don't really play Minecraft that much, so all that to say, yes, there's an open world game. I think it's pretty cool that because it looks like I forget the name of the main game player there, but she is, based on all the decisions that you make throughout the game, it characterizes that person. So if you were to steal something from someone in the first part of the game, if you go back there, they're going to remember you for that. So
Hmm.
your reputation there is going to be carried throughout the entire game, which I think is pretty cool. So I am excited for it. I mean, it doesn't look like it's the usual, Jedi with the lightsabers, that we've talked about in the past, and where we can have shows like Andor that doesn't have it. We'll see how it is as a video game without it. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be. I mean, I'll definitely still get it. I'll play it, but we'll see how it actually plays at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll even get a live stream here on the channel. Who knows?
Yeah, a whole 2 episodes and then
Yeah.
completely forget about it after.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Star Wars video games, have you ever played Star Wars Old Republic?
I have not. No.
Oh man, we gotta you and I gotta play that sometime. It's
Okay, I'm
fun.
done with that.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's about all the news we have for the Gamer Award nominations. Stay tuned in the coming weeks when I'm sure
Mhm.
the winners will be announced. Wishing the
Yeah, I think
best of luck to all the Star Wars nominees.
looks like the awards are on the December 7th, so pretty soon, actually.
Okay. Nice, nice. About 3 weeks time or so, roughly. So again, yeah, best of luck to all the Star Wars nominations. Hopefully, we take home some trophies in the various categories. A big piece of news, which has been very prevalent in the recent weeks and even months, has been the SAG-AFTRA. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. The Screen Actors Guild, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists strike, which is now officially over. And since our last podcast, this is news which we haven't covered yet. And so, um, part of what we wanted to share in regards to the strike being over, obviously, this affects, much more than just Star Wars, but the way it is kind of um, shown itself, the strike being over, that is, in a positive light in the world of Star Wars, is that some of the actors from the recent Ahsoka show shared some pretty cool images on their social medias. And so we wanted to take an opportunity to cover a few of those and share those. If you're watching the video version of the podcast, you can watch along with some of these images we're sharing now here on the screen. That top one right there, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, the actress who plays Sabine, with with Shin. I
Yes.
forgive me, I don't know the actress's name who plays Shin, but, obviously they're enemies in the show, so it's kind of fun to see them posing together behind the scenes like that.
Right. Like, why aren't they fighting? I'm very confused by this
Yeah.
picture. They look
Oh
like
my
best friends.
gosh. There's a great one with Ray Stevenson too, man.
Mhm.
And who is
Yeah.
oh, that's Natasha Liu
Yeah,
Bordizzo again
we're
on
done.
the left, okay.
Mhm.
Nice. These are some really cool images here. And maybe, for those of you who are audio podcast listeners, maybe we'll do like an Instagram post with, some of these images in or something like that, that we'll be able to share in some way for those of you that aren't video listeners, perhaps even on Twitter as well. So, be on the lookout for that. But here's another page with looks like, the stunt doubles for both Sabine and Ahsoka's characters fighting. And then there's the stunt doubles again in the center image.
Well, I don't know
Uh,
if that's the stunt doubles. I think that might be them. That might be Ahsoka. That might be Sabine and Shin on
in
the
the
top
top
one. So,
image?
yeah. I'm
Oh,
I'm
really?
assuming I'm assuming that because why would she show just the stunt doubles, you know?
Oh, that's a good
I th
point, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually them, yeah.
It's kinda hard to tell with, like, the shadowy approach to the image, but yeah,
Mhm,
you're probably right. But they yeah, then the stunt doubles are in the center image
mhm.
because 'cause they're posing with the 2 actresses, who play, Ahsoka and Sabine. Oh, then there's a bottom image with Hu Yang as well.
Yeah.
Do you think David
I
Tennant was on set with, the rest of the actors at any
hmm.
point?
I would like to think so, but that's a good question. I don't know if he would actually be there.
Yeah. And by the way, if you are an audio podcast listener, these images are also available on each of the actors' Instagram pages. The ones we're viewing now are from the Sabine actress Natasha Liu Bordizzo's Instagram page, and then we also have some images from Eman Esfandi, the actor who plays Ezra, Instagram page, posting a selfie as a stormtrooper. Pretty cool
Yeah.
image to see here. And then the blue eyes. So, I
Yeah.
didn't know his eyes were this blue. I thought that was kind of done in the
Oh, post-production
show.
type thing?
Yeah, and so I saw this
Yeah.
image and I was like, "Whoa, his
Yeah.
eyes are actually that blue." It's pretty cool looking. That top image with him and the lightsaber looks like it was
Taken
that's a
from, like,
cool
a camera or something like that, yeah.
yeah, something like that. And here's another image. Who is that in the middle? I can't even tell. Oh, is that a
That's Rosario Dawson, yeah.
yeah, that is Rosario Dawson. Natasha Rosario and Amon all, kind of in what appears to be like, the robes
Boxing
that
robes.
boxers wear out, yeah,
Yeah.
their warm-ups. Nice, very, very cool looking outside, maybe one of their trailers there on set.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's very cool.
the strike is officially over, which is great news for Star Wars and just more largely, TV
Mhm,
fans in general, so, um, fun to have that behind us. I know we were really thinking about
mhm.
that for a long time, and that was a big piece of news when that
Right, and
finally ended.
did you hear a little bit about that news about Pedro with the next season of Mandalorian at all?
Yeah, there's rumors that he's either not gonna be involved at all or his role is gonna be, like, extremely lessened. I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure what all is gonna come of season 4 of Mando.
Mhm. Yeah,
Is,
'cause I'm guessing that was all they hadn't started shooting with that, I don't think, before the strike started, right?
I don't think so, but a as far as I know, I think season 3 is done filming. Does that sound right? Or
Wait,
have
isn't
they
wait, didn't we just watch season 3?
or no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of excuse me. Yes, we just watched season 3 of Mando. I'm like a whole year behind in my brain right now.
Right, yeah. This
Yes,
strike was really long.
sorry, yes, season 4 has not been finished. I don't even know if they've started filming season 4 or not.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure either.
but,
Yeah,
um
I think the strike was in total, like, over 110 days, 118 days or something like that, so longer than the one that we had a few years back,
mhm,
which I think was 100 days.
hopefully we don't have another one.
Yeah.
Keep us waiting.
We need to pay these actors, we need to pay these writers right, guys, come on.
Yeah. Well, it's good that it is over, and hopefully this can remain we can remain strikeless for some period of time. Hopefully, moving forward, and good news for Star Wars fans everywhere. The last piece of news, not really news, but something from our last episode that we wanted to touch on before we hop into our draft for today, was look at some of the comments on our most recent full podcast episode. We got 3 comments we want to feature today. The first of which is from Aunt Vesuvi, longtime listener and commenter. Aunt Vesuvi says, "Many thanks to Ben, Joey, and Gibbo. A person read the comic to me." This is, of course, in reference to the episode I think that we did
With
on
Kanan, was in the
Kanan.
Kanan, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and did the voices. I appreciated their effort. I'm glad Ben he's Mike Flanagan. May the rest of you follow his lead. Since you asked, the transfer of life energy seems a reasonable extension of energy manipulation absorption long established in canon. Palpatine can shoot lightning. Yoda can neutralize lightning. I do think there should be a finesse with it. I'm like giving someone enough energy to revive them, but not drain yourself of your own essence. But the story group hasn't asked my opinions yet. But then I'll sit on my ideas like a huge egg, rotten to some, golden to others. Enjoy your hiatus. We are back from the hiatus, and if you ask my opinion, I think the story group should go to Aunt Masuvi for some of these things. I feel like,
Yes, please do.
yeah,
We have her contact information, y'all. Come on over.
yeah,
Dave, just jump in the comments over here.
yeah. This comment, I believe, was in reference to the Mortis God stuff, where the daughter gives her life energy to restore Ahsoka's life. So something that they played a little bit with in Rise of Skywalker, sort of. Which there is another comment that'll touch on that here in a second, but
A small
um,
comment.
yeah, a small comment. Yeah. So we have 3 comments today. The first one is from Amasuvi. We have 2 more. The second of which is from Lord Galvatron, and the third one is our lengthy one. We'll get to it here in a sec. Lord Galvatron's comment, though, he simply says, "Video saved for when we hopefully get a season 2 of Ahsoka." I think season 2 was greenlit, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I haven't seen the official word on that.
Right. I don't know if that's official or not. I could have completely just made that up.
It's possible.
But
We never said we had facts here, people.
yes,
This
yes,
is
speculation states. But yeah, we're gonna have to come back to the Mortis God stuff once season 2 of Ahsoka is here. Spy on Sports delivering us a comment here. If you're a video watcher of the podcast, I would encourage you to pause if you're interested in reading this entire comment. I will probably not read the entirety of it, but I might pick out some pieces here and there that I think it's worth touching on. Um, a lot of this comment was focusing on the Mortis God stuff, and so I guess I'll start off by reading just the beginning of the comment. Spy on Sports says, "Full disclosure, no surprise, I have not watched this 3-episode arc," referring to the Mortis Gods episode. A mission to track a really old transmission, which leads to an unusual, otherworldly sequence of events. Sounds a bit like Lost. No, Joey, I was going to ask you, did you ever watch Lost back in the day?
yeah, that's what we always thought. That's always my go-to thing. Like, you know what I didn't like about Lost?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You do bring
Yeah,
that up. Yeah. Did you finish that show?
I did. Yeah, I did.
I did too. I cannot remember a time, perhaps in my TV viewing experience in my entire life, where I felt as disappointed at the end of that show.
Yeah, I think that show was a lot of the essence of the enjoy the journey, not the destination, or whatever that saying
Yeah,
is.
that's
I think
fair.
I think that's what the embodiment of that show is, or
Yeah.
of that saying is that show.
It was about the memories we made along the way.
Yeah, pretty much.
A point in this list of points that Spy on Sports provides, when we were talking about the life essence thing, I think you brought up the Rise of Skywalker stuff in terms of, like, the life force essence, like Ray
Being
with
transferred.
Kylo, yeah. And so that was something that Spy on Sports said was a really good point, which is something I thought worth talking about again, because a lot of people, I think that that was sort of brought into the picture in that movie when, in fact, here's an example of a time when it was used in the Clone Wars. A lot of people don't know. Um, and another one I wanted to bring up was the one he says about Anakin. Bound
Mhm.
Sports says, "I never liked Anakin pre or post Darth." And then he says, "Lacks self-control, gullible, myopic, even pursuing peace or balance." Which I was like, "Ooh, that's a hot take," 'cause
That's
I
a that's a
really
that's a hot Mustafar take, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I really like Anakin
Yeah.
personally. A hot Mustafar take. But yeah, Spy on Sports also said, "Thanks for covering the arc and promises to do homework, going into season 2 of Ahsoka." So but also says, he would prefer not to have Mortis Gods in live action, um, but if they do end up playing a significant role, that's likely how Ahsoka and Sabine will inevitably return to the galaxy that we know. So,
Yeah, that's a great point too.
yeah. Were you anti candy corn in last week's or 3 weeks ago's episode, by the way?
I was anti-candy corn, yes.
I think I was kind of middle of the road. I was more pro than anti candy corn. Spy on Sports on my side, by the way,
Yeah, looks like.
with the candy corn for the record. Shout out to candy corn. No.
Not for me.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have any other, points on Spy on Sports comment that you wanted to touch on before we move on to our draft?
I think one thing that, one other point he made that I wanted to, point out was the second one here. 2,000 years ago, how old is Hu Yang supposed to be? Could he be the link between the 2 eras? So, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, that
yeah.
could be.
Hu Yang is just like a such a valuable source of information in the show that,
Mhm.
it's a cool connection to the prequel era, which is personal favorite, but
Yeah.
now
And
to
speaking of Hu Yang.
speaking of Hu Yang, we are ready for our droid draft. Again, this is the third draft we have done in the history of Hoth Hangout. And so, if this is perhaps the first draft of one you're watching and you're not really sure how this works, Joey and I are each going to have 5 picks. And basically, our 5 picks are a conglomeration of our personal favorite droids. If one of us picks a droid, it's off the board. So we're each going to have 5 entirely unique droids on each of our sides. And then perhaps at the end, you can let us know down in the comments who your 5 favorite droids are. And if you like Joey's list, if you like my list, if you think, my picks are silly, if you think Joey's picks are silly, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. We're going to do this back and forth style. So one of us will go and then the other will pick and we'll go back and forth, back and forth. For our Jedi draft, which was our very first one we did, I believe I went first. For our Sith draft, which we did following the Jedi one, Joey went first. And so in today's draft, I believe I'm picking first. And then when we inevitably do our fourth draft at some point with a different category, perhaps bounty
Ooh,
hunters potentially,
ooh, interesting.
Joey will go first in our next draft whenever that time does come. So um, the question, I guess, all that remains is, are you ready to start?
I am, let's do this.
Okay. Well, with the first pick in the 2023 Hoth Hangout Droid Draft, I'm going to pose a question. I know this is like a little
Oh?
unorthodox, and I won't do this for my other 4
Wow.
picks,
Okay.
but is General Grievous on the board?
Oh, boy.
Let's see, because he's like 90% droid, but he has like
Right.
organic organs like a heart and eyes. So
True. Wait,
I
he has
will
eyes? I didn't realize eyes were a part of it.
I think that his eyes are like part of his like
Oh, I guess
organic
you're
heart.
right. Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it now. Yes, yes, yes.
All that to say, you can totally shoot down Grievous because I
Mhm.
feel like that's a little bit unfair. Um,
No, I think since we brought it up, I think that's a good discussion. I think a majority of him is droid, but you know what? Yeah, I'll let you have it,
are you
and
sure? I'm willing
yeah,
to put him aside and
no,
say he's not available.
I'll let you have it, but we'll put the asterisk, we'll have to, yeah, the
Okay.
asterisk at the first
Okay.
pick though. But that's
Fair
fine.
enough. And this might, I honestly could have gone somewhere else with this. I
Mhm,
personally love General Grievous, so
mhm.
um I'm gonna commit to it with my number. If you're letting me have it, I'm gonna commit to General
Yeah.
Grievous with my first pick of the draft,
But okay, sounds good.
which is probably
What if I said, "No, you can't do it," but then when it was my turn, I'm like, "You know what? I think we should allow it."
we're changing the rules. I'm picking Grievous. I know Grievous is not like a super iconic droid like some of the other ones that we're gonna be seeing here, probably in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Um, but nonetheless, he is. You could make a pretty good case, I would say, that he's the most powerful droid in our draft
Yeah.
today, in terms of fighting prowess, just as well as like the actual power he possesses within the galaxy itself. Um, I've always loved General Grievous. I remember watching Revenge of the Sith when I was younger for the first time and thinking, "Holy cow, that is my new favorite character." I would always try to imitate his voice, like with
Oh,
this raspy sort of style, which
the
was also
emphysema. Is it emphysema voice?
the emphysema lung, yeah. Joey and I actually a couple months ago now, gosh, it's probably been closer to a year now that I think about it. You and I watched the original Clone Wars show together for the first time, and watched the scene where Grievous takes on like 4 or 5 Jedi all at the same time.
Hmm.
Just another small reason why I think Grievous
Yeah,
is deserving of my first pick, so I'm gonna stick with it. I love General Grievous.
I like it. All right, good pick.
Who
Good
you
pick.
going
All
with,
right,
your first pick?
all right. My first pick.
I think I know, but you can go ahead and say it
I can
anyways.
go. I mean, I think especially with the past series that we were watching with Ahsoka, um, he's really won a place in my heart. I'm going Hu Yang.
Oh,
Hu Yang,
wow, that's
Hu
not where I
Yang is
thought
gonna
you
be
were
the first.
going.
Yeah, Hu
Okay.
Yang. I mean, the knowledge that he has. I mean, I listen. My this was kind of tough because I wanted C3PO R2, of course,
Mhm.
the iconic ones in my for my first pick, but it really might be just because we came off fresh from the Ahsoka series, as well as after seeing that you kind of look into more Hu Yang things and all this. Yeah, I just think he's really cool, really knowledgeable, really funny. So I think that his role has been is going to be in to what Spy on Sports had said as well, could be a link to a lot of different eras as well. So
Mhm.
I think Hu Yang could definitely be that. It's it might be a stretch for some people. I understand it, but we're here. He's become one of my favorites, and I don't know if C3PO and R2 are kind of like the veterans down the bench at this point. Where you're just like,
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like
the
they're gonna
reliable
be
veterans,
the
yeah.
reliable ones. They're gonna get you 10 rebounds every game. Don't worry about it. But they'll be there in the second and the third round. So I think that's how I'm picking Hu Yang here for right now.
I like it, I like it. Hu Yang was actually I didn't have Grievous on my draft board technically because I had him, like, as an asterisk below, and I was gonna maybe
Mhm,
pick him with my first. But Hu
mhm.
Yang was actually 2nd on my draft board.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that pick. We both love
He's
Hu Yang.
Yeah. I think he's like the college kid that made it to the NCAA finals that
Mm.
nobody even knew about until the tournament, and then you're like, oh, that kid's really good. Maybe I should pick him up. And then he gets picked second or third in the draft.
Yeah. I think it's also fair to say, and some fans of the originals would definitely come after me for saying this. I love the originals too. Don't get me wrong, but I would argue that Hu Yang might have the most personality of any droid.
Oh yeah, I would
I
agree with
mean,
that.
like the C3PO fans are probably like seething when I say that, but I think Hu Yang might have the best personality. Uh-oh, that sound means it's time for the second pick on my side of the draft. Um, I'm between 2, and I think it's the 2 relatively obvious ones.
Mhm.
Not saying you couldn't go somewhere else with your second pick, but I am debating between R2 and C3PO.
Fair.
I personally like R2 more,
Okay.
and for that reason, R2 is going to be my second pick.
Very nice.
Um, I think it's fair to say even more so, and partially the reason I'm picking him over C3PO, even more so, more iconic than C3PO, I would argue, even though it's
Sure.
probably a close call. But growing up, R2D2 was always my favorite droid. I I didn't dislike C3PO. My argument for C3 for R2D2 is turning into an anti-argument for C3PO. I love 3PO as well, but I think a more playful, humorous droid like R2 is one that I like more personally.
Mhm.
he's such a staple of what Star Wars is. Luke Skywalker's droid, Anakin Skywalker's droid. So for that reason, I'm going with R2D2 for my second pick in the draft.
I like it. Well, I'm going to go very similar to yours. And I just mentioned that I believe those veteran players are going to be available a little later on. So that means who we know who we're not picking. C3PO is going to be waiting a little bit longer on the draft board.
Oh,
So my pick for this one is Chopper.
okay,
Chopper is
yeah,
going to be again the very very close to kind of R2's role as well.
yeah,
Thinking about kind of an icon. He was introduced, Chopper was introduced during Rebels, obviously, and so definitely a little bit of a newer one. But the personality for being, because Chopper classifies as a astromech too, I believe.
yeah,
So
yeah.
just the same type of droid there, but with the personality and all of that is just it just amazes me that you could do that. And now that we've seen Chopper in live action and all this stuff, so I think it's really cool. And you know how much I love Rebels, so that helps a lot the sell for me as well. So yeah, Chopper for number 2.
I love that pick. He was actually fourth on my draft board,
Hmm.
uh, behind R2 and Huyang and one
Hmm.
other person or droid, I
Okay.
guess, who I'm thinking is probably going to end up being my third pick.
Okay, let's see it.
Um, with my third pick, I I think I have to go C3PO.
Yeah, it's hard not to at this point.
Yeah, because my other option was another, actually, I would say the fifth on my draft board overall is actually kind of similar to C3PO, and I'll wait to see what your
Hmm.
next pick is.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but I feel bad because I just bagged on C3PO while I was advocating for R2D2. But on the same, on the other side of the coin, it's like C3PO, apart from R2D2, I would make the case is the most iconic droid in all of Star Wars. Anthony Daniels is one of my absolute favorite actors in the entire universe of Star Wars.
Of
Um,
course.
we were talking earlier in the episode about how Cameron Monaghan really embodies the character of Cal
Mm,
Kestis as and is a great representative of Star Wars for the wider community. I would say Anthony Daniels is that even more. Um, he is this legacy of this uh, character who just kind of continues to make it through somehow, some way, even though apparently his memory was wiped between episodes 3
yeah.
and 4.
Right.
Um, but, he is a timeless character who's been a part of Star Wars since the beginning, much like R2D2. And so, for similar reasons, but also different reasons, because he serves the role of the comedic relief in a different way than R2 does. R2 is
Hmm.
like the lovable little brother who gets into trouble. C3PO is like the that takes himself too seriously but still
Yeah.
funny at the same time, older sibling who's like, "Don't do that, R2." And part of their relationship is the comedic relief. And
Hmm.
so I love R2. I love C3PO. They're both my second and my third pick.
Nice. I like it. Ooh, that's a lot of legacy players in there. A lot of
Yeah.
veterans.
And we're also getting more and more to the point in the draft where we're starting to run into some droids who maybe some people haven't heard of, which is what I like
Mm-hmm,
talking
hmm.
about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so this pick, yes, I was gonna pick C3PO at my pick, so but that's fine. But I am gonna go. There were two that I was juggling between on this one, and I think I'm gonna go with K2SO as my
He was
third
next on
pick.
my board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
K2SO from Rogue One, played by Alan Tudyk. Very iconic role, iconic droid for me. Just the personality again. I think that's what makes these droids good are the personalities that each of them hold, and
Mhm.
they're so vastly different from each other. This one is much more, definitely the same comedic type of role, but at the end, oh my gosh, if you have not seen Rogue One, the end of how he does not make it out. Well, let's just say the entire Rebel Crew doesn't make it out, but his ending was especially sad because he essentially sacrificed himself for Andor, for Cassian, and for Jyn Erso to make it out there.
Mhm.
And just to see that ending, I think that's what makes him even more, impactful in my eyes. Because you kind of maybe you didn't see the entire, you only got one movie of him, so there's that. But to actually see how it ended and how honorable it was, that's definitely a big reason why I picked K2 at this one.
I like it. Yeah, he's I think he's underrated.
Hmm.
And I mean,
I think the movie is still underrated,
oh my
honestly.
gosh, yeah. I mean, I think I've been on record saying that Rogue One is my favorite uh Disney film
Oh,
that they've
easily.
made since acquiring Star Wars.
I
And
think it was
and
top. I think it was top three in our list too for me.
yeah, I don't remember exactly where I put it. I know it was top 5 for
It
me.
was top five for you, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Rogue One, great movie. And if there is any, Star Wars fans out there who are like, I've only seen the prequels, originals, and the sequels. I don't really care about Rogue One and Solo. Let me tell you, you're missing out a little bit. You gotta watch those 2 films. They're fantastic, personally, I think. But all right, with the 4th pick. Oh man. I am between 2 right now.
Mhm, mhm.
And there's a part of me that wants to reach deeper onto my draft board because I think I can
I
get
can
the
feel
one
that.
that's higher on my draft board with my 5th pick. Oh gosh. Do I go with the pick that's like the one that people think I should do, or do I go with the one that's kind of the deeper take?
I like the deep take, I'm just saying.
Okay. I'll do the deep take then. It's
There we
really
go.
not like it's not like deep deep. But if there's anyone who doesn't watch animated Star Wars, they would have no idea who this is. I'm gonna go with AZ3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I
AZ3
like.
is from Bad Batch. If anyone has not seen Bad Batch, this is a character who's very sweet, very lovable, kind of a companion to the one of the protagonists of the show, Omega, which also is another opportunity for me to say, you haven't seen Bad Batch. Great show.
Mhm,
Um, AZ3 uh, sort of has this unlikely friendship with, I think it's Fives in the show, if I'm not mistaken. And so AZ3 is kind of this sweet and lovable companion to Omega later on in the show, and if I remember correctly from the show's storyline, also sacrifices himself at one point in order to save Omega. And there was
mhm,
just something about his relationship with her. He's got kind of this similar to Hu Yang, this like sweet, soft British voice that has this enduring tone to it. I guess C3PO would be that way too. What now that I think about it, what is it with droids in Star Wars and having to be British? You notice that?
That's a good point, yes.
I think all the droids that actually have like speaking parts, most if not all of them are British. Now that I think about it.
It's like the
Um,
Empire too, aren't there a lot of British actors there in the
yeah,
Empire?
yeah, exactly. AZ3 is going to be my 4th pick. I enjoyed him very much in the Bad Batch, hoping to see him because man, this just shows that I need to go back and watch Bad Batch. I think they retrieve him and revive him. Is that right, Joey?
I that sounds very familiar, yeah.
And again, you and I have only watched Bad Batch through one time. We might have to do a rewatch before the next season comes out.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
I'm fine with
yeah,
it.
yeah. But anyways, AZ3, I know that wasn't like a super in-depth, knowledgeable session on the droid itself, but I personally really like this droid. So he's going at number 4 for me. How about you? What's your
Nice.
number 4?
Number 4, okay. This is the yin and yang of K2SO and then this droid, I think. I feel like these 2, like, lump up,
Ooh,
they are very well put together.
I think I know who you're picking.
They are like Zach Levine and, DeMar DeRozan right here. So, that is, this is I think this would be a 1-2 combo that you cannot beat. I'm going with L337 from Solo. So,
Oh,
um
wow.
yeah, so I
Good
think that
one.
yeah, I think that those 2 together, I know we're not putting a team together necessarily, but in my
Mhm.
mind, it kind of is, right? Uh, L337 is the droid of Lando, and we all know Lando's one of my favorites. Ends up being essentially the travel the I don't know what I forget what it's called, the GPS system, whatever, of the Millennium Falcon, essentially after after she also meets her demise. And again, with the personality, she has a very rebellion heart, even though they don't have hearts. But like she was trying to release all the droids during Solo, and yeah, so that personality played by what's her name, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. If you
Waller
haven't
Bridger,
watched
yeah.
Waller-Bridge, yeah, she was popular in, what was that one show that she did on Amazon? Flea something. Yeah,
Recent
I
show?
remember. Yeah, she had like an Amazon show that she was the star in.
Fleabag?
Fleabag, thank you, Fleabag. Yes,
Yeah.
so that's a good show as well. I think. Yeah, so all around, I think that this is for me, solid fourth pick, with this draft here, and yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Nice. Good catch. I okay, so you said it and I realized that I didn't even have L3 on my draft board. I was like, "Oh, man, that was a good one."
Yes.
Okay. I we each have 1 pick left.
Hmm, hmm.
I am so torn. I think so I have 3 that I'm debating between.
Okay.
One of them is a video game character.
Okay.
One of them is sort of your typical, like, attack-oriented droid,
Oh.
and another one is an astromech droid.
Okay.
And man, I think because my preference for droids tends to be the comedic relief droids,
Okay.
I am gonna go the astromech route and go with BB-8.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
Solid.
I thought about picking BB-8 with my 4th pick, actually,
Okay. Yeah.
but I really wanted AZ-3 on my team. But now I'm glad I get both of them, and so,
See, look at
um,
that. That worked out well.
yeah, yeah. BB-8, I I actually do like Force Awakens. I think there's a lot of people that tend to lump that in as one of the, the people who like to hate on the sequels, tend to lump that in with the other 2, which I feel like is really unfair to Force Awakens. 'Cause I think it's a
Hmm.
pretty good film, even though the plot of it resembles New Hope largely. I think one of the brightest spots of that movie, walking out of the theater in whatever year that was, 2015, I remember saying to my family, because we all went to watch it together, I was like, "I really liked BB-8." I think it's really hard to replicate the success uh, of a droid like R2-D2 being just this anchor of what it means to be a droid in Star Wars. I don't think BB-8 reached quite the level of R2-D2, but I feel
Right.
like he came pretty close. And
Hmm.
because we're more advanced with our technology, I think they do a pretty great job of incorporating his humor into the story, especially in The Force
Hmm.
Awakens. One of my favorite parts is when he like sticks out his little thing in the flame and it's supposed
Yeah,
to be
the
like
little
a
flame.
thumb.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
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 So, fun fact, I didn't think that was the finger that he was putting up the first time I watched that.
You thought he was like flipping someone off or something?
I thought he was flipping off Finn in that one, but yes,
That's funny.
after further review, yes, that was a thumbs up.
Yeah. And I also just love the concept of sort of the ball astromech, and that's like
Hmm.
how it rolls. Which, by the way, I didn't get one when I went to Galaxy's Edge, but my
Ah,
brother got one of the little BB-8 astromechs
oh,
from
nice
Galaxy's Edge. So it's pretty cool because you look at it in the movie, you're like, oh, that would never actually like work in real life.
work.
And then you go to Galaxy's Edge and you can make one and you can control it and it's got the, the remote. I'm like,
That's
wow,
pretty
this
cool.
is pretty cool technology. The head is like it's like a gyroscopic thing so that the head is always on the top sort of thing. It's pretty cool.
Hmm. That's pretty cool.
Anyways, BB-8, a great character, I think, and one of my favorite parts of the sequels. So he's gonna be my 5th pick in this
I like
draft.
it. Nice. All right. If you remember
Mhm.
in the Jedi draft, I
Are you
went
reaching
I went
real deep here,
I
Joey?
went to a deep cut there on that one. So this may be considered something similar as well. And this droid does not come from the movies, does not come from the video games or animated series. It comes from the books actually.
Oh,
So
cool. Okay, I'm excited.
a deep cut here. His name is Mr. Bones, number
Oh,
5 pick.
nice.
So Mr. Bones, a very quick summary of the was owned by I think the name was Tanem. I think that Temin Wexley, who you know as Snap Wexley in the sequel trilogies. So
Ah,
Greg Grunberg, I think the actor's name is. But when Temin was a younger in the rebellion, he had this Mr. Bones. I essentially it's a battle like a repurposed battle droid painted all red, and it was basically Temin's or Snap Wexley's protector. So whenever Snap was in trouble, Mr. Bones would come running. Pretty incredible type of. I can't remember all of the modifications he made to it, but essentially, one of the funnier quotes that I'm pulling up here is Roger Roger bodies be gone, master. So like just would completely annihilate any enemies that would come around. And so yeah, I think it was a really cool spin on a character, on a droid that I don't know, for me, and I wasn't a huge prequel trilogy fan, but like those battle droids kind of annoyed me because they were like Roger Roger and all that stuff, you know. But to see one repurposed in this way, I thought it was really cool. And yeah, and it's cool because it ties into the sequel trilogy with Snap Wexley. And there, if you haven't read the Aftermath books, those are very lengthy, but actually very good. It talks a lot about uh, um, all the ideas and thoughts of what the Emperor going to do. After this all takes place after Return of the Jedi. So to see all of that and to have another iconic droid as Mr. Bones in it, I think he's a solid number 5 pick to round out the end of the draft.
I like that. I like it. Mr. Bones. It's cool that that he's sort of just like a repurposed battle droid.
Hmm.
Did you like the speaking of battle droids, did you like the Clone Wars version of them that have the more like the animated Clone Wars where they're more silly, or did you like the movie version better?
I think I don't for some reason I was okay with the animated version. I think it's
Yeah.
because they are animated, so they can be sillier. I think
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
talked about this before. You can get away with certain things in animated that you can't get away in live action. So I think I like them a little bit better there. Where
I'm the
in
same.
the prequel trilogy, they were just kind of like bumping into each other and they didn't know what to do. And like, how are these the things that are that are defending the bad guys here? So yeah, I think definitely the Clone Wars versions was better for me.
Well, Mr. Bones is like the version 2.0 now, so
That's right.
maybe we get to see him in even in animation or live action. Maybe the day will come. Well, we want to thank you for playing along with us in this droid draft. And we also want to pose each of you a question, whether you're listening or watching. Who is your personal favorite droid in Star Wars? If you had to pick just one, who would it be? Was it one of the ones we picked here today, or was it perhaps one we didn't pick? I know there were some good ones we left off the board. IG-11,
Hmm.
BD-1 from Jedi Survivor.
That was the one you were talking about, the video game one, right?
Yeah,
BD1. Yeah.
I kind of was thinking about picking BD1, but, I chose not to, so, even just yeah, your B1 battle droid or the
Hmm.
droidicas, there were some
Yeah.
solid ones that got left
So
off.
here was my strategy. I was telling you to take that deep cut early on because if BB-8 was available at 5, I was taking him.
Yeah, in retrospect, I probably no, actually, I think it worked out well for me because I really wanted AZ3 on my team,
Hmm.
um, and I ended up with BB-8 too, so I guess, yeah, it all worked out, but anyways, yeah, let us know down in the comments of the video version of the podcast who your favorite droid is. And we'll look forward to hearing some of your responses, and we'll feature them on next week's episode of the Hoth Hangout podcast. Which, speaking of next week, it is, at least in the United States, it is Thanksgiving. And so we will be having an episode next week. We're going to be recording a little bit earlier than our usual day of the week to get that out, perhaps on Thanksgiving morning. So wake up, watch some Hoth Hangout, then go eat some turkey with your family. Sounds like a good day to me.
Sounds great.
The episode that we are going to be doing for next week is actually sort of a part 1 of a two-part series of episodes we're planning. The first part of which is next week. We're gonna be focusing for the next 2 weeks at least, sort of on the sequel trilogy. And more largely just kind of Disney Star Wars. And so, next week we're gonna be looking at our favorite parts of the things that Disney has brought to Star Wars, or more briefly titled sort of our Thanks Disney episode, which is a little bit of a controversial opinion right now because I know there's been a lot of negative stigma surrounding Disney, at least in the Star Wars fandom
Yeah.
recently. And
But
so,
but it but it's Thanksgiving. What do we gotta give thanks to what
exactly,
the things that we do like.
exactly. So we're gonna spend our Thanksgiving being thankful for the things that the Disney Star Wars era has given us. But for those of you who I know tend to be a little bit more critical of the Disney Star Wars stuff, we'll be doing an episode the following week talking about some things we wish Disney perhaps could have done better with their era of Star Wars. So,
Which
if
ironically, we could also say thanks, Disney, so
yeah, yeah, thanks Disney, thanks Disney. So we'll be covering both sides of those takes once next week for our Thanksgiving episode, talking about our favorite parts, and then the following week, uh, the first week of December, talking about, or no, I guess that would still be November, the last week of November, talking about some of the things we wish Disney had done better in their Star Wars era up to this point. So, Joey, any last thoughts before we sign up about droids or just anything otherwise?
another fun draft. I can't wait for the next one.
Yes, yes, and comment down below. What should our next? I brought up bounty hunters earlier, but we're open to anything Star Wars related in terms of
Yeah.
our next draft subject. So be on the lookout for it, and we'll
Maybe
be
maybe, favorite Lando capes, we could probably do that one.
Joey, you might be one of 5 people in the world who would be able to provide, like, the,
5 is there's 5.
5 of the different kinds, yeah. Be on the lookout for the next draft, it's gonna be coming soon. Thanks so much for listening. If you're not already subscribed to the Hoth Hangout YouTube channel, definitely check us out there and like and subscribe. Additionally, you can email us anytime with your Star Wars questions to hothhangout@gmail.com, and we will be able to feature them here on the podcast. Additionally, if you're an audio podcast listener, thanks for listening. Leave a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts. You can listen to us there. You can check us out on the socials, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or X. We are at Hoth Hangout on each of those. We want to say thank you, as always, to Gibbo for producing the show, the videos, the assets, and for being the Hu Yang of Hoth Hangout. We appreciate you, Gibbo.
Gibbo. All 3 of us together again. How exciting.
Yes, yes, in some way, yeah, Disney vlog coming from Gibbo. Stay on the lookout for
Ooh.
that. Gonna be good. Shout out to George Lucas. Shout out to all the droids of Star Wars. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Hoth Hangout podcast, episode 56 in the books. It's been a blast having all 3 of us together once again for this one. Stay on the lookout for episode 57 and all the episodes to come. Thanks so much for listening, and may the Force be with you.